To consider the influence of furniture, we may insert some objects. Therefore, you may go to Construction and then to the icon Furniture and Objects. When you go to the button Select, you see that we have some standard objects available in DIALux EVO. A cube, an extrusion volume, a vertical cylinder, a sphere, a frustum of a cone, a truncated pyramid, a hemisphere, and a wedge. Underneath, you see a list of objects which I've already inserted in my project. So let's just start with a cube. In my example, I would like to insert a cube, and this should be a shelf in my shop here. If you would like to insert a cube, you can simply drag and drop this picture into 3D or 2D CAD window. A cube always has a standard dimension 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Of course, you can adjust the size. There are several possibilities. You can adjust the size by entering different values here, or you can adjust the size when the object is selected by this scale button. And you can scale it with your mouse, and it's also possible to enter values here when you press a Tab key. With the Tab key, you can go into these boxes and type in certain values. In this case, I would like to do it that way. I go to the positioning menu, and here we have 2 meters by 0.6 meters by 1.2 meters. And you see immediately the size will be changed.
Would you like to improve your skills? Just have a look at our complete course DIALux EVO for interior lighting.
Here I see that the orientation is not correct, and therefore we have another icon, rotate. When I press this icon with my mouse, I can put the mouse onto one of these knobs and rotate it, like this, for example. Of course, the rotation could have been done with entering a value in these boxes. If you would like to move an object, this is also possible when you go to this cross. You can select one of these arrows with your mouse, and if you press down the left mouse key, you can move the object, then the other axes are fixed. When you select the triangular surface, you can move the object into 2 directions. Besides this, you can also move the object with the cursor movement keys on your keyboard. This would also be possible. Sometimes when you move an object, you see that a snap works, and to deactivate temporarily your snap, then you may press the Shift key. And as long as you press the Shift key, there will be no snap, which is activated. When you go up to this list of the icons, you can also edit the polygon. When you press this button, then it's possible to edit this polygon line. You can do a right click and add a point, move the coordinates, add another coordinate, or also delete a coordinate. And when you leave this command, you see a polygonal object. This could also be done when you go to select with this extrusion volume. So let's just go back to our standard object, And you see these icons are only available when you have selected an object. Otherwise, they will not appear here. To go through these commands, you may also press a Tab key. Tab, 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 and so on. If you inserted a cube or another standard object or also a piece of furniture, you can also copy and paste it. Therefore, you may select the object, and one option would be to press your Ctrl and C key and Ctrl and V. This leads to the effect that the copy of this object will be positioned at the same place. Another possibility would be to select the object and then Ctrl-C and Ctrl-M. Then the object will be inserted at the position of your mouse.